Hi, my name is Myra, and I'm 31 years old. Before I share my story, I want to make it clear that my husband and I come from wealthy backgrounds. However, unlike my parents, we are thankful for our wealth and don't look down on others. Now, let me tell you about our revenge on my parents. I grew up in a wealthy family, but we didn't always have money. For a long time, my family was middle class. My parents had regular jobs while also trying to run their own business. When I was 7, they quit their jobs to focus on their business full time. The next 3 to 4 years were tough. Sometimes I wouldn't see my parents all day because they were so busy. I felt neglected and held a grudge against them for a long time. After all, you can't expect a child to take care of themselves. But when their business became successful, they made up for it, though maybe too much. Soon, we had a lot of money and my parents started attending fancy parties with high-class people. I hated these parties, but I had no choice but to go. I couldn't wait to turn 18 so I could leave. My parents quickly became the snobs they used to dislike before they got rich. When I turned 18, I got into a great university in my state and moved out. That's where I met my husband, Daniel. At first, neither of us acted or looked like we were rich, and we had a real connection. After about 5 months, we told each other about our wealthy backgrounds and were surprised to learn that our families were part of the same social circles. Daniel's family was even richer than mine. His father, Cyril, was one of the wealthiest men in our state, but he kept his personal life private so not many people knew about his family. That's why I hadn't heard of Daniel. Daniel also hated being in the spotlight, so he avoided fame. We dated for about a year before meeting each other's parents. We met his parents first, and they were wonderful and accepting of me. Then it was time to meet my parents, so we arranged dinner at their favorite restaurant. Hi Mom, hi Dad, this is Daniel. Hi Daniel, I'm Norman, and this is my wife Margaret. It's a pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you too, Daniel replied. So Daniel, what are you studying? My dad asked. I'm doing media and communication, Daniel said. And what do you plan to do with that? Mom, Dad, this isn't a job interview. Stop interrogating him, I said. It's okay, Daniel replied. I plan on becoming a social media manager. Oh, that's a profession for sure, my dad said sarcastically. Dad, there's no need to be so judgmental. Tell me, Daniel, did you grow up with wealth? My mom asked. Mom, that's an incredibly offensive thing to ask, I said. Oh, so the answer is no. I could tell just by looking at him. I don't mean to be rude, but if you don't mind me asking, what does my wealth have to do with my relationship with Myra? Why, it's everything. We worked really hard to give her a life filled with luxuries. We don't want her to live like a peasant after she gets married. That's enough. I don't care about any of that. I love Daniel, and that's all that matters. You're just young and naive. This relationship will end once you realize this man can't afford your lifestyle. Are you serious? No offense, Daniel, but my daughter deserves better than you. I don't know how you expect me not to take offense to that. Myra, there's a handsome, successful man we met at a party. He's older but very successful. Do you want us to set you up with him? Wow. How dare you insult my boyfriend and try to set me up with someone else while he's right here? You need to realize that your relationships affect our reputation. You need to choose men who will benefit you and our social status. Daniel won't do anything for you. I've had enough. You judge Daniel without even knowing him. We know his type enough. He is not a type. He is a person with his own personality and feelings. The fact that you can't see that because of your obsession with social status is disgusting. Don't bother talking to me unless you want to apologize. Myra, sit back down right this minute. You're causing a scene. See what Daniel is doing to you. You've never behaved like this before. This isn't Daniel's doing. I've just reached my limit with you. I grabbed Daniel's hand and stormed out of the restaurant. I couldn't believe how quickly they judged him. They didn't even try to know him and immediately dismissed him as inferior. I apologized to Daniel repeatedly, but he told me there was no need. He admitted he didn't look rich but didn't expect my parents to act that way. I agreed. After that, I only spoke to my parents when absolutely necessary until I graduated. Daniel and I stayed strong and moved in together after graduation. We focused on our careers before taking any other steps in our relationship. Daniel worked in various places before joining his dad's company, avoiding the spotlight for as long as he wanted. Eventually, my parents apologized for being rude to Daniel. We accepted their apology but kept low contact because I knew they didn't genuinely accept him. They only apologized to keep up social appearances. Occasionally, they'd invite us to their parties. and we'd attend out of courtesy. Every time, my mom would look at Daniel in disgust, even though he wore expensive, branded clothes without flashy logos. 3 years after graduating, Daniel proposed, and I was overjoyed. We shared the news with his family together, but I decided to tell my parents alone. I knew they would say something mean, and I didn't want Daniel to hear it. So, I went to their place for dinner. "I have something to tell you both," I started. "Oh, please tell me you broke up with that pathetic boyfriend of yours." "Actually, we're engaged. I'm going to marry him next spring." "What? No, you're not. I wasn't asking for your permission." "You should have. You know how we feel about him. You don't like him because you think he doesn't have money. That's not a valid reason. If you marry him, you have to come to all our events with him. Do you know how embarrassing that is? Do you care that much about your reputation? Does my happiness not matter at all? You have no idea how hard we worked to get where we are today. We sacrificed everything, and we won't let a man of Daniel's status bring us down." "I know exactly how much you sacrificed. I was there. I lived for years without my parents. For people who look down on the middle class, you forget that you were once there. Daniel has the skills and ability to succeed. Why can't you see that we want what's good for you? You don't want what's good for me, you want what's good for you. Don't project your issues onto me. Look, we're very open-minded. But this is where we draw the line. We never imposed our opinions when you were dating Daniel because we thought it was just a fling. But this we cannot accept." "That's a lie. You two were the least open-minded people I know. You've done nothing but tell me how bad Daniel is for me throughout our entire relationship. I don't care if you accept that I'm marrying him because it's happening, and you can't do anything about it. We can do something about it. If you marry this man, you will no longer be our daughter." "Wow, so you'll disown me if I don't listen to you. You'd rather disown your daughter to save your social status than be happy for her. That's not it at all. We want what's best for you. If you can't see it, then we see no reason to support you. I'd like to see how your poor husband will support you. He's done more for me than you ever did. How dare you? We gave you this life. Don't you dare say we didn't do the best for you. While I am grateful for everything you did, neither of you ever cared about my happiness. Daniel makes me so happy, and I want to spend the rest of my life with him. Go ahead, disown me. I'll be happier that way because I cannot stand going to any more of your obnoxious parties. I'd like to see how this happiness of yours pays the bills. And don't you dare come to us when you need help with money, because we will not help. I'd rather be drowning in poverty than come to you for help." I left my parents' place immediately, feeling incredibly hurt. I wasn't naive enough to think they would readily accept him, but I had hoped they might have changed in the past 3 years and would see how happy Daniel made me. I drove away and parked a few blocks away before finally letting myself cry. I loved to put on a tough act, but they were still my parents. Sure, they were snobby and mean, but I still loved them, and it hurt to see that their love for me was so conditional. That's the one thing parents aren't supposed to have: conditional love. Eventually, I made my way back home, and Daniel comforted me. He was incredibly mad at my parents and asked if I wanted him to do something about it. I didn't want him to act against them because I saw no reason to become like them to prove a point. I decided then and there that the best way to get back at my parents was to live happily. That was what they didn't think I was capable of, so I would prove them wrong. Daniel and I spent the next few months enjoying life and planning our wedding. On the day of the wedding, I was the happiest girl alive. Daniel asked his dad, Cyril, to keep our marriage a private affair because he didn't like the limelight, and neither did I. Cyril was happy to do that and spoiled us with some of the most expensive gifts. After we got married, Daniel took up a permanent role at his father's company and became the head of the social media marketing team. Not to brag, but Daniel brought in a lot of money, especially by drawing more attention to the company. I was also advancing in my career and doing great. I didn't speak to my parents at all, not just because I didn't want to, but because they never reached out to apologize. Over the next 5 years, Daniel and I had a great time. We were doing amazing in our careers, and our social lives were thriving. Daniel slowly warmed up to the idea of being in the limelight, and we began attending more high society parties. We would run into a few of my parents' friends at these parties. When they asked about my parents, Daniel would subtly imply that they weren't the kindest of people. We thought this was just a petty move with no real impact, but it turns out it did have an effect. My parents started being shunned by their social circles. We realized it was working when we ran into them at Daniel's sister's engagement party. She wanted a big, extravagant celebration for the elite of society, and it was very exclusive. Daniel and I were obviously invited. When we saw my parents, they were shocked. Myra, Daniel, what on earth are you two doing here? My mother asked. Well, we got an invite and thought it would be rude not to show up, I replied. How did you get an invite to this party? This is an engagement party for business tycoon and millionaire Cyril Reed. Are you sure you're at the right place? We're sure we're at the right place. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have places to be and people to socialize with. Hold on, how did you both get invited here? This is a party only for the elites of our city, and last time I checked, you barely even came close to middle class, my father added. Do you really have no shame putting your daughter down like that? Daniel interjected. What daughter? This could have been you, Myra, but you gave it all up for this creature, my mother snapped. Wait, that's it. Myra must have got an invite in our name, and then Daniel made her not tell us and instead took him along. That would explain why he had to go around practically begging to get in here. Do you really think I'd want to attend any party if I got the invite for you? I would have passed the invite on, but I'd never attend because the people there would all be rich snobs just like you. I shot back. Okay, that's enough. You will tell us how you got these invites, or we will call security. The chances that the two of you crashed this event are too high. I mean, what more do you expect from the lower classes? My father threatened. At that moment, Cyril Reed himself walked up. Hi there, what is this I'm hearing? Is my son causing any trouble? Son, my parents' faces went pale. Yes, this is my boy Daniel. Oh, these two were just accusing my wife and me of crashing this event because they assumed we were lower class, Daniel said with a grin. Oh no, that's not what we meant, but I do want to know how Daniel is your son. You don't have the same last name, my father stammered. My wife wanted him to have her last name. Feminism and all that. Anyway, he's my pride and joy, and I would ruin anyone who hurts him. So, do we have a problem here? Cyril's voice was firm. Only one. Why do Daniel and his wife not have glasses of champagne in their hands? Cyril asked with a smile. I like them. They can get their glasses and join me. I need them to meet a few people. Excusing ourselves, Daniel and I walked away, laughing at the look of absolute shock and horror on my parents' faces. Cyril knew of my parents' views about his son but had never said a word out of respect for me. He only stepped in to assert dominance when necessary. Daniel and I enjoyed the rest of the night, celebrating his sister and her fiancé to the fullest. We socialized a lot, and I ended up making some great friends. I felt free from my parents' snobby behavior, and it felt great. We tried our best to avoid my parents, but that didn't last long. Toward the middle of the event, they found us again. Hey, guys, could we talk for just a few minutes? My mother asked. Oh, I don't know. My dad expects me to be with him, Daniel replied. Yeah, about that. How come you never told us who your dad was? My father inquired. I didn't see why I had to. Besides, you already made up your mind about him. Was there any point in telling you who his father was? I responded. Of course, there is. Do you even know how much power that man has? Wait a minute, is this why we've been getting fewer invitations to social events? My mother asked, panic creeping into her voice. How would we know? Dana replied. Are you really ruining our lives because we didn't know whose son you were? My father demanded. No, that's not why. You treated us like we were low lives because you assumed we were part of the middle or lower class. That is unacceptable, and we see no reason for you to have any sort of social life until you prove yourselves to be better people. Who are you to decide that? My mother snapped. You return us back to our previous status or else. Or else what? You're going to try and ruin our name? Good luck doing that. Hold on, my father interjected. We're sorry. We called you over here just to talk to you and apologize. But we're letting our negative emotions get in the way. We shouldn't have treated you that way, Daniel. Could we make it up to you in any way? Oh, you most definitely could. I want you to leave my sister's engagement party right this minute. What? But we worked so hard to get the invites to this event. My mother exclaimed. I worked hard to show you that I cared and loved your daughter, and you rewarded me by not only treating me poorly, but also disowning her. My father is a kind and genuine man, and he would hate to know that such vile people attended an event of his. Just give us some time to change. I promise we'll be better people, my father pleaded. The time to prove yourself has long since passed. Get out or I will have security come get you, and you know how people will start talking when they see security escorting you out. "You're a cruel person," my mother hissed. "I'm definitely not as cruel as you. Now get out." I was in awe of the way Daniel stood up for himself. I knew he was holding back out of respect for me, but if there was one thing he hated more than anything, it was people who treated others based on what they could get in return. That was the textbook definition of my parents. My parents thankfully left the event without another word. They knew better than to draw any more attention to themselves. After they left, they texted me to apologize for the way they treated Daniel. Once again, their apology was rooted in their newfound awareness of Daniel's status rather than genuine remorse for their actions. This only made me angrier. I couldn't understand how some people could be so dense and ignorant. This was why I didn't stop Daniel from doing what he did. It didn't take long for people, especially my parents' friends, to notice their absence at the party. They would ask me, and Daniel would explain how he kicked them out and why. People were horrified to learn what my parents were really like. Many of them stopped associating with them afterward. My parents barely saw invitations to any events after that party. As their social standing crumbled, my parents' company began to suffer. Their business depended on these elite events as they supplied many of the products and services required. Becoming social pariahs meant nobody wanted to tarnish their own reputation by associating with them. Realizing they were losing revenue, my parents' apologies turned into curses. They sent us long, hateful texts outlining how I was a disappointment and how I had ruined our family. It hurt at first, but it also felt great to finally put my parents back in their place. As for Daniel and me, we were doing great. We pretty much went back to living our lives normally after the event. We were planning a vacation to Spain within the next 2 weeks to symbolize the start of a new beginning for us, one without my parents involved.